Good morning, fifth grade. The first thing that you are going to need out is your sheet. It should say Tuesday on top. Make sure that you have your name on. And then it's asking you to read section 1, which we will read together. And then we're going to be completing our notes. Um, and it's going to be using your different senses. I listened with my hands, I saw something that they could feel. I watched, I ate, and I felt. There are words at the bottom where it's asking you to use certain words from the word bank. What I want you to do with any words we use in the word bank, we are going to underline them so that it's really easy for me to see if you use them. So if you'd like to bring it up on your own, you can, but we first have, we read through our introduction yesterday, so we're at section 1. And the first one we're going to look at is the lost settlement of Roanoke. So yesterday we learned that the people there did not survive, and we're going to be reading about them today. So it says, in the 1500s, Spain was a powerful nation. Its ships sailed to the Spanish colonies in the Americas and brought riches back to Spain. So if you remember, all of the explorers we looked at, many of them came from Spain. So it was a really rich country, had lots of explorers, and then we're going to keep reading on from there. It says, Sir Walter Raleigh, a sea captain and soldier, was a friend of Queen Elizabeth I. He believed that England could be more powerful if it had American colonies of its own. In 1584, he sent 2 ships to explore the coast of North America. So England was trying to be in the game. They're trying to get explorers there. The ships landed on an island near present-day North Carolina. And if you know anything about North Carolina, there's actually the city called Raleigh, after Sir Walter Raleigh. So the sailors named the island Roanoke. So it's just looking at that vocabulary. It is an island off the coast of North Carolina that became the first English settlement for the American Indians who lived there. The explorers soon returned to England and told Raleigh that the island had fish, animals, fruits, vegetables, and friendly people. It would be an ideal place to create a new community or settlement. So a settlement, it even says community or a settlement. The next year, Raleigh sent some men to start a colony. Unfortunately, few of the settlers were farmers, and supplies quickly ran short. When fighting broke out between the English and the Roanokes, the settlers gave up and went home. In 1587, Raleigh sent over 150 new settlers consisting of farmers and skilled workers to Roanoke. Later that year, Captain John White went back to England for supplies. Because England was fighting a war with Spain, White's ships were not allowed to return to the colony. So he went over to Spain, but then he couldn't come back. So 3 years later, White finally returned to Roanoke. But there was no sign of the settlers. Everything, including their houses, were gone. The only clue White discovered was the word Croatian carved into the gatepost of a ruined fort. He thought the settlers might have moved to the island of Croatian or joined an American Indian group with that name. Before he could find out, however, the weather turned bad and he could not search the area. Despite many efforts to solve the mystery, no one has discovered what happened to the colony. So this is a really big mystery of what really happened to the colony. We know at first they fought with the people that were already there, the American Indians. But then when White returned, he has no idea what happened, and nobody really does say. So you can kind of just see this is what he saw, the word Croatian of what happened when he came over. That's kind of the only thing he saw as a clue. All right, so we can just look at some of their problems. So it says select 3. Few of the men Raleigh sent knew how to farm. That first time, yes, that was one of the problems. A war with Spain prevented supplies from being sent to Roanoke. That's another thing. They had to wait 3 years for more supplies. When Captain John White returned, the colony was gone. That's another problem that they faced. This last one, it says Queen Elizabeth decided to stop funding the colony. We don't see any of that, so I know that one I wouldn't check. Answers are all good, and they still don't know what happened to the colony. So now this is going to be where we jump into our worksheet. So it's I listened with my hands, I watched, I ate, and I felt. And we're also using the words from our word bank. The first one, I'm going to do the I ate and then use the word food because I know that's in my word bank. So I might say, I ate food, and I know that they talked about some of the food that they had. So they had fish, animals, fruits, vegetables. So maybe I'm going to write, so I have my word in the word bank. So I ate, and since it already has that food, and I'm going to underline it since it's one of my word banks. I ate food that included fish, fruits, and vegetables. And then I can cross that off of my food bank. Maybe another one we can do is we can use the word sailor. So using that, maybe we can talk about, as far as the sailor goes, you can talk about the sailors named the island Roanoke. So I watched, or maybe I listened to the sailor name the island Roanoke. Oops, I'm so sorry. Get it on here so you can see it. I listened to the sailor and making sure that you underline that, who named the island Roanoke. Roanoke. Can cross that off on your word bank. So we've still got 3 more words, Sir Walter Raleigh, John White, and Croatian. Maybe this one, since I know the word Croatian was carved into a tree, I might say, with my hands I carved Croatian into the tree. And again, we don't really know the full meaning of that. It was never really stated. So then we'll do one more of these together. We can do Sir Walter Raleigh was the first one that went over, and then John White came. So maybe we could talk about Sir Walter Raleigh and how he went to Raleigh at first, and then so he sent over settlers, and he didn't go himself. So maybe we can write about I watched, or I felt excited to be sent to Roanoke by Sir Walter Raleigh. Because he wasn't one who went over, but he sent people over. And many of those people were really excited to go over to the New Americas. So then there's that one. And then the last one we have is John White. And John White was one of the last people to come over and find the colony. So, what would be something he watched? He watched, there was really nothing for him to see. But he had to watch the supplies not get returned to the colonies. He had to watch that the colony was completely gone when he got back. So maybe just saying, I watched as John White. And how would he feel? He'd probably feel pretty sad, maybe scared of what happened to them as John White saw the missing colony. Or the colony disappear because it was there and then he came back 3 years later and it had just completely disappeared. And this is what our next few worksheets are going to look like. It's going to look like just taking the information that we read about and then using it to fill in some of these notes. So right now, just make sure that your name's at the top. We did all of these ones together, so then you should be all set to go for your section 1.